what a amazing week and weekend for UND softball and everyone that's been involved in our program. The support that we had come out for our opener was really, more than we probably could have imagined, to see the crowd full like that for us. And played a great game against a great opponent, which I think helped out the environment. But really just a great day for our program and for softball in this region to see a really well-played ball game, and to see all the young kids that were out there and that interacted with our girls afterwards was just an awesome experience.
Well, Coach, we talked a lot about the park. Just kind of curious, where are you at with your roster in terms of what are your focuses this offseason in terms of maybe we're good at this, we need to get better at this? Where do you guys sit competitively?
Yeah, we have a really large roster, more than probably. I haven't looked at everybody's sites so far, but probably more than anybody in our conference right now. And so the fall is really for that, is to try to figure out who will be those 9 that get an opportunity to go out there a lot, who gets to make travel squads. And so we're putting a lot of people on the field. We played all 27 healthy bodies through the weekend. So, and we'll continue to do that through the fall. But I think the 2 things that we're always going to rest on is we want solid pitching and we want to play good defense. And if we can do those 2 things, our offense will take over. But I think if you were just looking from the weekend, it's we got to clean up some defensive things, and we've got to be able to hit the ball a little bit better.
Coach, obviously, the fall league is, in preparation for spring ball. How important is it to see the development in your roster here?
Well, it's huge, right? That is the number one reason that we play fall ball. I've said this throughout the kind of couple of weeks leading up to this, is we're trying to tamper down some expectations for the game, because it still is fall ball. It still is used for development. We still want to get everybody in, but that first one was so important for us. Like, we wanted to get a win on the board in that game, but we just want to continue to, we've got 11 new players on our roster, and so we've got to get them a lot of playing time so we actually know what we have going into the spring. But that will continue to be the focus. All of our pitchers will get opportunities, all of our young kids will get opportunities, everybody will get a chance, and we just want to be able at the end of the fall to say we've given everybody a pretty equal opportunity and the cream will rise.
All right, and final question I have for you is what's the biggest thing you've seen so far from preseason stuff and getting ready, and from that first game, what's the biggest jump or takeaway that you've seen?
Honestly, I was really pleased with how we handled ourselves on that day. Like, that's probably more people than any of our players have ever played in front of, and I thought we handled it really, really well. There were some nerves for sure, but I thought we settled in really well. So that was really cool for me to see in that environment that our athletes were able to handle that and be able to play good softball in that environment. But I think our pitching was strong. Like, we threw 2 quality games, and we're going to need that.
You talked about last week how the field kind of had its quirks. Have you guys kind of adjusted to those, or what else do you guys have to figure out?
No, not yet. Nothing really, thankfully, nothing quirky happened in that game. But our opposing team hit one out in BP, and the ball came rolling back to the infield. They're like, oh, that's new. They hit one. I'm like, yeah, that's a thing. But no, we didn't have anything. I think one thing that we were nobody hit it out, but like, there's opportunity for fan interference, which is like unheard of in softball. But no, nothing happened. Thankfully, we were okay.
You already talked about kind of some of those highlights from the grand opening, but did you have one specific moment that you realized that the stadium was yours and you had a team like that to back behind you?
I think it was the second we walked out of the Pollard and saw how many people were actually there waiting for us to come in. And the crowd filled out nicely, but just everything that was set up for us and the people that were standing there waiting to get inside, and then how quickly they came in and filled up the stands, that was just the feeling of, holy cow, this is something today, and this is going to be something big for our program as we go forward.
Well, what was that experience like to have that kind of environment with your name on the stadium like that?
That was absolutely unbelievable. It's been a long time coming, especially getting to see some of the behind-the-scenes work, finally getting out to practice on the fall, and then all of a sudden there's 1,500 people surrounding you in a stadium, and that was just absolutely incredible to watch.
I mean, you're probably one of the first people who know of the general idea. What do you remember, like, exactly where you were or what you thought when you first hear about this idea?
Well, I'm sure people have heard the stories. It all started at my very first fall ball game. One of the seniors said, "Hey, the president's here," and all of a sudden, 2 innings later, I look over and my dad's talking to the president. And a year and a half later, he told me about what he was doing, and I was just it's just an honor to be a part of it, and I'm so thankful for everything that both my parents have given me. So.
What is your guys' focus now here? As maybe you kind of had the big hoopla out of the way, and now I imagine some more work is to be done here. What's your focus this off season here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all in preparation for the spring, so we're really trying to amp up. Make sure defense. Obviously, coach said, you could see the nerves in the first inning, myself included. But to play solid defense, to have solid pitching, and to try to get the hitting up there. So, when all three come together, we know we can win. So that's the focus, to try to get all three to cohesively go together in one game. Last
one for me is just, what's your favorite part of the park?
My favorite part, personally, it's a fan and it's a player park. Getting to be involved in some of that stuff, my dad really worked on the fan experience side of it, where I got to work on, the player side of it. So I was very involved with helping with some of the dugout stuff, but honestly my favorite part is the party deck and the connection for me personally to aviation, to see some of those cool things out there, the taxiway lights, the runway, the windsock that we specially ordered in green and white. I know the sign isn't up there yet, but some of those things are just awesome to see, the connection for me personally.
10 years from now, when you look back on the memories that you made this past weekend and, at this new park, what's the biggest thing you're going to remember?
Honestly, we were trying to all take it in. While the other team was taking their infield practice, we were all just kind of looking around, seeing all these people just surrounding us. But truly my favorite part, was when people started to walk in, the grandstands filled up first. But 2 minutes later, I look over and the party deck is so full that people can't even get to the front. And that, for me, was just that was so awesome to see.
And what does it also mean to see, resources and stuff being, poured into UND softball?
Yeah, it's great. Apollo served us well for the many years that we played on it. But it's a small community field off campus, and it even starts going to practice. We don't have to drive 5 minutes down the road to go to practice somewhere, and you feel a lot more a part of campus.
All right, and obviously, fall ball is all about getting your guys' roster ready for spring. What's the biggest takeaway you've seen from off-season workouts to what you guys saw in that first weekend?
For me, seeing all the young kids out there, none of them looked like they were very overwhelmed. They fit in very well with our team, and I'm excited to see how they can help us win in the spring.